Hello, YouTube. My name is Ian Thomas. I'm a graduate student at University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. This is for Education Leadership 755, and this particular vlog is going to cover innovative practices in the use of educational technology, either software or hardware. Um, the whole field has really come alive in the event of COVID-19 and the forced homebound instruction of tens of millions of students throughout the United States. A lot of this software and hardware that was either hard to get or was a pay for play kind of situation um, has really come out of the woodwork as a way for these companies to advertise their services when life goes back to normal, whatever normal looks like. And potentially, I think that a lot of these companies are hoping that these remote tools are going to be a part of what that future normal looks like. And so they can capitalize on students and teachers and administrators getting comfortable and used to the technology in hopes that they'll buy it in the future. It really gives us a really wonderful and unique opportunity to look at this material objectively, because we have full access to a lot of technology that normally you would have to pay for. And it really allows us to kind of dive deep below the surface and see, well, are these technologies, either software or hardware, are they truly innovative, or are they just a way for ed tech to capitalize, the industry of ed tech to capitalize on budget dollars that are being set aside for remote learning, distance learning, e-learning, and do they actually have an impact noticeably on student learning, of course. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Zoom. I would be remiss, and I would certainly not be, able to hold a candle as an educational technology critic if I didn't take a look at Zoom, both from the obvious point of view of it being a wonderful piece of video conferencing software, as well as conference calling. But there are some truly innovative ways that you can use Zoom that lie just below the surface if you're willing to kind of think outside the box on how to use the technology itself. I'm going to get into those two practices that will really prove to you that Zoom can be used in an innovative way beyond what most people expect to see Zoom used. And then we'll kind of take a critique and see, well, what's good about this, what's not so good, and my overall impression on the usability of it in these innovative ways in these very, very trying times for us as educators. I'll be right back after I set that up, and we'll go into the first innovative practice, and then I will also take a little short break to set up the second way that we can potentially have Zoom being used innovatively in a way that protects student privacy. So I'll be right back with those two examples. And we're back here on Zoom. As you can see from the icons over on the right side of the screen, I've joined this meeting twice. I am the host in the screen where you can see me talking, but I've also joined this meeting via the same Zoom account on an iPad. And what this allows you to do is truly innovative in terms of what it allows you to do with your students in their remote learning. A lot of us, when we're teaching at home, we may have the ability to have an easel like this because we have small children in the house, or we might have a small whiteboard that we can hold up to the camera that'll allow our students to see the examples that we're doing. And specifically, I'm doing new instruction in mathematics for my entire grade level via Zoom, primarily using the whiteboard back here because it's what students are used to seeing at school. And the innovative way that you can use Zoom along with the ability to share a screen from a touch device like this iPad that I have. And it's not a really new iPad. It's probably 3.5 years old, but it works very, very well for the purposes that we're going to use. And this really speaks, in terms of being an innovative practice, it really speaks to what Mandy has talked about in Divergent EDU. In Divergent EDU, she talks about how behavior doesn't necessarily conform to what's expected. Most people expect Zoom to be used as video and phone conferencing software via remote means. It really wasn't necessarily designed as an instructional tech tool, but it has evolved into that by the uses of teachers in innovative ways. Using Zoom, we can meet those needs of our students in really interesting and novel ways. Maybe not the way that the program was designed to operate, but in ways that are totally meaningful to students, allows parents to see what the students are learning in school so that they can support them at home. And it allows students to see that face and see the handwriting even of the teachers that they're familiar with. So I'm going to give you a quick preview of what you can do using this iPad, joining a meeting 2 times with the same account, and then sharing the iPad's screen as a whiteboard. And so what I'm going to do is kind of give you an idea of what I've been doing using this to teach mathematics. Every time when we're starting a mathematics lesson, we have an I can statement. So you have, I can use the area model oops. And what's great is you can undo one by one. And as you can see, I'm able to give them that I can statement that they're used to seeing in school. We can start out the lesson in the same way that we normally would do. Gives you that continuity that allows you to reach those learners who really need that consistency, and that consistency in the environment of their homes is potentially completely different from school. It could be an environment where they've experienced trauma. It could be an environment where their parents are not there to support them, or their parents don't have the necessary tools to support them without the support of a teacher kind of guiding them along. A lot of parents aren't teachers because they regard teaching as a very difficult thing to do. So the more that we can make the environment that our students are learning in a remote way as consistent as possible, the better it is for their ability to be successful and to achieve highly. So even something like this, where they can see my handwriting on the whiteboard, they can see the I can statement, it brings them back to that kind of safe mental place of school. Now I can keep adding to these whiteboards really quickly, and it just erases almost instantaneously. I also start my math lessons with reminding them of what the activity is going to be. So the activity is just 1 by 1 digit multiplication. And then the resources, I always remind them of that, reminding them what we're going to do. Oops. Well, there we go. Reminding them what they're going to need as well as what they're going to do. So the resources is something to write with, and then something to write on. Now I could certainly do this on an easel like this, and I have done videos sent out to my students that way, simply because it can be helpful to have this screen, the screen that has my face in it and the whiteboard in the background. Sometimes I feel like it's probably an important emotional and social connection to see your teacher or a teacher that you're familiar with on something that's bigger than a postage stamp. However, for some students, having that narrative quality and then being able to see exactly what it is that we're trying to do or we're trying to accomplish in the lesson, it can also be helpful. So we have to, cater to all those different types of learners. And then sometimes we just have to change it up and change up what we are doing to meet those different needs. And Zoom really allows you to have, the best of kind of paper, pencil, and chalkboard world, but also the best of a digital world, which you can see right over there with the shared screen. More and more classrooms are starting to use touch displays and clever touch boards and things like that that are more similar to the touch environment of the iPad that I've connected to this Zoom meeting and can record from. So just a really neat way that it allows you to bring that continuity to students. It allows you to meet learners' needs, and it's phenomenal. It failed the first time, of course, so it wouldn't be an innovative practice, or it wouldn't be an innovative use of a technology if it didn't work out especially well. I was expecting that I was going to be able to, be in bed, not have, a collared shirt on, not do anything with my hair. No, just kidding. But I was hoping that it would kind of streamline my ability to pump out material so that I would just, not even have, a video of me. It would kind of be like that. And you would just have someone narrating a lesson for you, kind of like Khan Academy. But the more that I put myself in the position of students I knew who were going to be at home, who were going to be working independently, or who were simply just struggling with a lack of social connection, the ability to have both the whiteboard next to me or the whiteboard behind me in some videos, but being able to see my face and to read my emotions is a really powerful connection that, again, might not be the designed intent behind Zoom as a piece of telecommunications software, but when used innovatively in an educational environment, it really can make or break the difference in terms of the connection that students make to the folks who are trying to teach them and support them remotely, and their learning as well. So I'm going to pause the recording. I'm on Zoom, like I said before, recording this. So I'm going to pause the recording and then set up a way that can kind of show you how Zoom can be used by special education teachers. And I got this idea from a colleague of mine in special education who was kind of probing my knowledge of Zoom, and I had no idea, and we just tried it and it seemed to work really well. So give me a moment to pause the recording. I'll set that up and then we can get on with the rest of this vlog entry. And we're back here. As you can see, I have two students that have joined me on a Zoom call. One is on their bed relaxing, and the other is sitting on a couch in the living room, smiling and ready to learn. So in all seriousness, most important things that Zoom has allowed teachers to do, especially in special education, is to continue meeting the federally mandated IEP minutes of instruction that students are supposed to get in order to close those gaps in achievement, and hopefully at some point in time to dismiss them from special education. Now, technology difficulties and hours in the day and the difficulties of remote instruction and learning have all played a factor into everyone's effectiveness as an educator, regardless of how they were in the classroom. They have some diminished capacity, unfortunately, due to remote learning. But Zoom, when used innovatively by a special education teacher, can allow collaborative small group work to continue to happen. And what's really great about Zoom is that when necessary, and this is the innovative aspect of it, when necessary, the teacher can truly kind of go into that private mode, that one-on-one mode that they may have to use in the classroom, which they can just simply ask the other student to leave the table or to go to a separate setting to kind of guide that student or potentially mitigate some behaviors that might have arisen because of a particular academic skill. We find that that's very true, that oftentimes behaviors are elicited by specific academic struggles. So what's great about this is that if I need to talk to Kevin the koala over here, I can certainly just mute my minion friend over here. I could mute them. I could stop the video altogether, which would force them not to be able to see or hear the interactions that I would have. Or I can even put them back into the waiting room, which is really great, so that I can have that short one-on-one time that I need to with this specific student. I'm not breaking any sort of confidentiality issues with that second student who might not need to hear it. And as teachers, we really need to be cognizant of our students' privacy, because the environments around this particular Zoom meeting, I have no idea what that is unless I can see or hear it. And in order to really protect our most vulnerable students, we need to think of the truly innovative ways that we can use existing technology to meet those needs. It doesn't need to be in an entirely separate Zoom meeting, which is inconvenient for the student and the support system of adults that they have at home. It's inconvenient for the teacher in terms of scheduling another session. It complicates things in terms of more potential problems with technology and connectivity, or even something as simple as a household that has multiple students who need to use a piece of technology for distance learning. There might be only one device and they need to share it. So we really need to be cognizant of all of those factors that are hindering families potentially, and meet them right where they are. And by being able to have those private conversations with students with special needs, we really can keep things confidential. We can meet them exactly where they are and what they need, but also it allows us to potentially do that in small group settings, because we know that time is precious and we know that we need to do as much as we possibly can for all students. So it's a really remarkable way that the teleconferencing software Zoom has been kind of bent, so to speak, if you can imagine bending a bar, bent to the needs of educators and confidentiality and student learning. I hope this was an enjoyable first episode of my vlog. I'm really excited to talk about the different ways that certain tools and software are going to impact remote learning now, but potentially learning when we get back to whatever normal looks like in the future. So again, this is the EdTech Ginger, and hoping that you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Take care.